gentlemen, welcome to King of Kodiak. I'm Kodiak. With me today is Sir VaLance, Draigonnos. How you doing?
I'm good.
Thank you for coming on. Sorry, I just stuttered all the way through that. I'm still not seeing the stream on the page, but and Dylan decided to message me and let me know. Thank you, everyone. All right, VaLance, thank you for coming on today. Let's not waste any more time with me stuttering and looking like a fool. Let's get to the bare necessities. Sorry, Sin. How long have you been playing Amp Guard?
Over 19 years. I think this is going to be my 20th year.
Okay.
I started when I was 13.
Okay.
So,
and how long have you been aware of?
20.
How long have you been aware of Amp Guard?
Same amount of time.
Same amount of time. Okay. It seems to be more of the traditional way that the older players have learned about it, but I'm seeing that the newer players are doing like the research, watching videos, all that stuff, and then starting maybe a month or so after. So it's why the question is there.
No, that's fine.
Still, I would like to know, where does your persona come from?
Which one?
Well, VaLance, those.
Okay. So basically, like my persona is literally. Okay, I could do the Amp Guard version of like how I chose the names and then mix it into like what my, LARP, lore background or whatever. So when I initially started Amp Guard, I wanted to be called Drake because like my gamer tag for the longest time was Lord Drake. However, I started in Nine Willows and Sir Drake, who's the captain of the Unseen Hand, which is also the fighting company I'm part of, was named Drake. And at the time, I didn't know who he was, obviously, because it was literally the first day I went there. And I was like, cool, I'm going to have to come up with a name. I was like, how about Draco? Because I love Dragonheart. And I was like, that's a good name. And I was just like, no, we already have a Draco. I'm like, oh, okay. And then, I don't know, sometime couple weeks or months in, maybe, Sparky or Sir New Origin, I can never say his name right. New Origin, yeah. Just like called me Lance. And I was just like, hey, that's a weapon. I'll take it. So the reason why he called me Lance, and I didn't realize this until after into my military career. My actual real last name is Armstrong. I'll just let you go into that. I didn't know who the fuck Lance Armstrong was. They're like, oh, he's a biker, and I'm like, oh, okay, like I'm not a biker. I was thinking, vroom vroom, that.
Okay.
And yeah, I did. And the sad part is, I knew who Lance Armstrong was, the bicycle guy. Like I knew who he was, but my brain didn't go, it's that person. I went, oh yeah, that's right. That's that person. And so it was Lance. And then I had to come up with the last name. And I just came up with Draigonnos, which is literally dragon with an A and an extra N and an O and S. And I was just like, fuck it. That night, liked the way it sounded. But I didn't really know how to spell it, so I was like, that's how I ended up spelling it. It was Draigonnos. But like persona-wise, it's like I woke up in a mystical land. Didn't know who the fuck I was. And then I was attacked by werewolves, and then became a werewolf, only to find out later on that I was originally like a dragon. And then so now I'm like a werewolf dragon. Grr. But yeah, so I'm a wandering warrior and all this other stuff. So that's like race wise, that's what I was. But as far as like real life stuff is, so when I would join the army, I became a pirate in my like LARP stuff. So I went to Korea. So I went overseas in like, Asian stuff. So like my garb and whatnot. It's very Oriental pirate-esque.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically my real life stuff kind of mixed that into like, I was like, all right, I was doing this. So what was I doing in my life deal? And then like kind of did this whole storyline thing, and which is leads me to how I met Rattles, which is my other persona, which is a completely different person.
Well, we've got some questions
And
about Rattles when we get there.
I know most people know Rattles more than they do me. Like when I go to cons, you'd be surprised. I was like, "Who are you? How do you know my name?"
All right. So I would also like to know. Oh, actually, we have questions from Kenjin here. I presume the Lord of Bones title refers to Rattles, but
It
otherwise,
does.
knowing nothing about Rattles, tell us about that.
All right, so this actually kind of like ties into that actually quite well.
Okay.
So when I became a Lord, it was the only title I ever wanted because I liked Lord, because I was Lord Draxus or Lord Drake or whatever in like one of my other gamer tags. So I was just like, cool, I'll do that. It's the only one I ever wanted. So at Clan, I don't know if you've been to Clan.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever went to the bonfires,
Yeah.
there was a guy wearing a big skeleton mask tending the fire.
Okay. Well, have you went in the last? So I've only been playing for 3 years,
Yeah, it
and
would have been the last three.
okay, then I must have seen it because I'm all over GOTC. So
I don't know, big guy, gray garb, big hair. Maybe not have seen it. It depends on whether or not. Basically, I would always build a fire pit at Clan. I'd start the fire pit and I maintain the fire pit since we started that site. But since last year we were supposed to do a different site, and I was actually supposed to be running like the battle games and like quest stuff and whatnot for this last Clan that was supposed to happen, which kind of sucks. Because I was like, yes, finally get to do it, and then I was like, oh. So I made Rattles, so I'm a bone weaver, and a lot of my weapons or whatever are made out of bone of animals.
okay.
So like I meld bone. Like I don't know if you've probably seen like one of those big shields that are recently made. It's supposed to be like dragon bone and dragon scale and whatnot. But the fire deal is for the bardic, and so it became like the Lord of Bone and Flame is what it is.
Okay.
And it's someone called me it, and I was just like, shit, I'll take it. It technically works.
Okay.
Like I'd have like my hand on fire with as Rattles or whatever, and be playing with the fire. They had these gloves or whatever that were, they had skeleton bill on it, but I could light them on fire.
Wow. Awesome. Okay. Devrick is telling me in the chat that I've definitely seen you at GOTC. So yes, I've seen you. Devrick says so. The
I was
next
like, I
question.
know I've seen you, but whether or not we actually talked is a different story.
Oh no, probably not.
Yeah.
I, my first couple of years, it was I know the people I know, and I'll try to make new friends. But I was more so like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed about just being at the event. That
You're like, oh,
yeah,
wonder. Yeah.
yes, yeah. All right. So the next question, of course, is what award or achievement are you most proud of receiving? You did say that you really wanted the Lord's title, but is there something else that stands out now?
Well, the only reason why I even shot for my masterhood, because I honestly, before then, I did not care. I've always considered myself to be a knightly person because literally, as I was growing up, I literally lived by the Knight's Code or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And so I was just like, but I didn't really care to actually get it. But the first person that ever gave me a belt made me promise to get my masterhood and shoot for my night deal. and her name was Lady Synynthia. And yeah, she's passed away, but I'm still her page. And I was just like, and I don't make promises lightly. So it was one of those like, she literally would not stop hounding me until I promised her. It's like, no, I'm not gonna make you a promise I can't keep. Just like, and then she passed away. Then I was just like, yeah, shit.
Okay.
And so basically, my masterhood, specifically solely for weapons, like literally all the awards that I got, my owls were for weapons. They weren't for anything else.
Cool.
Yep.
We got one of those. We got one of those started in Dragonspine. Kenjin is on his way with weapon tech as well. I don't know if you two have crossed paths in conversations, but you should because you both have excellent tech. So
Kenjin.
he would be from Yuma, Mountains of Elzrum in Dragonspine.
Is that his Amcar name?
Yes. Yes.
Is that his Facebook name?
No. Pierre is
Okay,
his.
then I probably do, but
Yeah.
whether or not I use my Amcar name because it's like I hate my actual name.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, same. Anyways, VaLance, what is your favorite battle game and why?
Well, my favorite, I got two favorite games, and it's the ones that we came up with here. Favorite militia type, like non-class game, is called Iron Triangle. Iron Triangle is a triangle that's probably 15 paces. It's basically as big as however many people you have playing, but it's a 3-team game. The 3-team game is like, okay, I'm going to use the screen. Yeah, right there. Yeah. So inside this triangle, you can fight. Outside the triangle, you cannot fight. So you could have like 15 people inside of a relatively small triangle, and like the fighting is like really intense and it's very fast paced because you're constantly coming in and out. Basically, if you die inside the ring, you go out to one of the spawn points, which is basically another triangle as same spacing. It's like an overlapping triangle when you're setting it up, but you're just putting a stake or whatever, and you go over there, call live, and you're not actually live until you take a step into the ring. And you can take a step into the ring on any side of the ring, but you can change that ruling to where it's like, oh, you can only come in on your side or whatever. But it's more interesting if you allow anyone to come in from any side or whatever, but you still have to go to your stake. So you're always being very much aware of your surroundings, because on average, it's probably like a 15 by 15 pacing or 10 steps or whatever. But if you get like 8 people on a team, you want to like double that or whatever. But it just depends on the size. But a lot of times, if you're using a polearm, you can hit everyone inside the square or triangle, basically. Okay. But it's also very small, so you might not be able to hit everyone inside of it, because it's like, people in the way, got to go over. So like sometimes using a polearm is not even a good idea inside of it.
Sure. Okay.
That would be my favorite, like, fast-paced game. And then basically the winning team wins by, it's a countdown or whatever, like 10, 15 minutes, and then they call a hold. Team with most people still within inside the triangle wins.
Okay. All right.
That one's probably my favorite. Favorite battle game is this game called Arathi Basin. It's a full class battle game. You can do it with 7 cones or less. Basically, you have 3 objective bases, at least 3. You could probably do 2, but it's funner with 3. And depending on how many people you have and whatnot, is how many objective bases that you get or that you want to run. But usually 3 for about up to like 20 something players is pretty good. And then you have your base where you spawn at, which is like a couple different game mechanics for that. But so the objective is to be at one of the cones. And how I do it, there's a couple different ways of doing it. Is basically I set one team will be a yellow cone that goes on top of the other cone, and the other one will be a pink cone on top of the cone. All you gotta do is go up to that cone, put yours on it, and take the other ones off. Like if you do anything that like disrupts it, it's like you lose a point basically, or
Okay.
whatever.
All
So
right.
something that will screw the other team over for you trying to basically try to win. All right, so you have to be within to get a point. You have to be within 10 feet of the cone with your cone on it. It's very important that your cone's on top of that cone.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you capture it. A lot of people like to do the capturing one, capturing two. I was like, nah, just go over there and swap it out, because if you do the time, like it's really hard to do it when you're doing it faster paced games, which is generally the ones I like to do. And then
Okay.
there will be a hold. If only your team is within that 10 feet and not an opponent, you'll get the point. But you won't get the point if you're not within that zone. Then no one gets that point, basically. So it's like a Rossi Basin if you played WoW.
I mean, I've
Uh,
not well,
if
but I've
I'm,
played it.
it's basically like capture the zones, but we've done it like with like 5 bases, which if you do it with like 5 or whatever, you do like the center base, where like if the hold is called and everyone within that circle or whatever or within the range gets like a point of protect or something, so you're fighting for the center because you get extra buffs or whatnot. But it's basically usually first to 15, and the timer is random, so no one can be like, all right, we got 5 seconds, and it's like, no, they'll just like randomly. Usually when I'm running, I'll randomly pick a time on my, I just press go and then I'll say hold. But yeah, it's probably my favorite.
Okay.
I know it's probably a longer explanation than you
No,
probably wanted, but
no, that's
I was
great.
like, I run battle games, and like I wanted to go to clan, and then this year we're not going to fucking clan. So upset.
Well, Kato's going to ask you some questions about GOTC later, but no, hearing about
Yeah.
some new games that we could try out that maybe Dragon Spine or our local parks haven't tried, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Of course, the
Yeah.
next question is you're playing these battle games, when you're playing, what's your favorite class?
Right now, it's not probably surprising, is Druid, because Druid is literally what every class should be. Everyone should be able to build their class. Like everything has their flavor. Everything should be more customizable, like a Druid's class is, where it's like, oh, I don't want this, but I can do this instead. Like all the Magic classes are never been 1-to-1. And before it used to be you had to have 10 people per Magic user. So
Right.
the opposing team had to have 10 people for your one Magic class.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
or no, Archers was 10, and then Magic users was 5, or something like that. I think. Yeah, I think it was that way. It was 5 per 5 people, and Archers was 10. It was like
That,
the challenge rating.
right. That sounds right. I believe Sir Francis mentioned a 10-to-1 ratio for archers before, so that sounds about right.
Yeah. Which I mean, that's not really that big of like that's, I'd say, a 1-to-5, like on par with most of the Magic classes. Yeah. But then you have, the regular classes now. They're just like, what they have.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, they're like, he has this no matter what. Like, with Druids, it's like, you're like, well, he's probably doing it one of 3 ways. You
Right.
don't know until you either see him pick up a bow, or he's just over there like, I'm handing out candy, candy. And, but as far as like, not magical classes, it would be either assassin or monk.
Okay.
Assassin, if I want to use small throwies and I want to use my bow. Or actually, if I just want to use my bow, really, and I want to use my throwies. So then I play assassin. And if I just want to use my polearm and I don't want to wear armor, and I just want to be like, I don't care, and just run out there and not have to care about but like 2 spells and a couple of spell balls. So it's just like, I'm lazy. I will play monk today. Why? I get ignored like mostly everything.
Okay. All right. I love it. So Deverick always asks the question to go with your favorite classes. What's your favorite? What's your loadout? You kind of mentioned the bow with the assassin, the pole with the monk, but what's your favorite loadout?
Well, I literally build loadouts, like quite literally. Like the belt I'm wearing right now actually has bungee retention straps for my throwies,
Hmm.
and I actually sell. Oh, there's one right here. These little deals that can go onto your belt, so you can stick in throwies. They have these like little clip things,
Nice.
and which I used to use these, and then I was just like, I built myself a new equipment belt with this already built in, so I could like put pouches and still have my throwaways. Basically, assassin build. Like it's it's the funnest to go out with. Like I average like 5 weapons, if
Okay.
not more, and that's not including throwaways. Uh,
Okay.
like I usually have two, dagger-sized weapons, two short swords, a long sword, and some off jankin thing like my kama
Cool.
or my
All right.
axe.
Okay. Well, that is the bare necessities. Sorry, Sin. Sin is a player. I saw you give me a look. We did bear puns for 8 hours on a road trip one day. So when I said bare necessities, I have to apologize to the player. So that's what I'm doing there. Just so you're aware. Dylan, yeah, in the chat, Kenjin just posted Lancer's page. We're going to be talking heavily about the sciences of weapon crafting here in a moment, but we have the 3 questions KOK viewers have asked since episode 1. The first one being, how do you feel about Sir Smiley getting a toaster? And how do you feel about the possibility of him getting a soda maker?
Well, considering where he lives, he probably doesn't need the toaster. It's hot enough there.
Okay.
Just put some butter on his hood and flip it over. Soda machine. I mean, shit. If I could, I'd get a soda machine.
Okay. All right. What are your thoughts on bears?
I knew that one was coming. Well, bears. I mean, depends on the type of bear you're talking about.
I leave it vague for a reason.
I know, because it's like, well, let's see, we're talking about LARP, so there's like, druid bears, bears, bugbears, which are not really bears, which kind of fucks with my head. Owl bears. I never understood bugbears. Bugbears are basically large goblins.
Mhm.
Never could understand why that was the thing. And then there's, bears is like, hey, little weasel or squirrel, you want to
Yep.
see Papa?
Yeah, those are
um,
that is an option as well. Yes.
let's see what other kind of bear we got. There's a guy that I knew when I first started out. His name was Bear. Big old guy. He would fight sitting on his cooler because he was that wide. See my toolbox? Yeah, he was pretty wide.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he was a big ass man. Quite literally. He mastered the art of wielding 2 great katanas sitting on his still basically sumo wrestler. But yeah,
Okay.
that's how I feel about bears. I know about bears. Bears
All
are
right.
okay.
So
Bears are fuzzy.
so who or what would be your favorite bear?
Bear necessities.
Yeah, there we go. That's a KOK reference. I'm going to take all the points for that. Still, Het Morgan, you both lose 2. Moving forward, uh, what are your thoughts about Dragon Spine getting a mobile pool and or jacuzzi?
I'm like, to be perfectly honest, I don't give a fuck. Are they going to share?
Well, it seems as if Dragonspine would be sharing it, but how would you fund
It's
it?
mobile.
Yeah.
How would I fund it?
Yep.
I would probably go find one and then put it on a trailer.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Okay, so those are the three questions KOK viewers have been asking since week one. We can finally get to your questions. But we're going to start off with one that's been sticking on the list. VaLance, what is your weirdest flex? Oh, oh, uh, uh, I think he's going to get his weirdest flex.
Just bend over. Speak to my people. No.
Oh, okay.
No. This is my weirdest flex, which I was doing literally earlier today. All right, so I made this axe the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I've already done this probably 200 sometimes. That's my weirdest flex. It's like what?
Okay.
The durability of my weapons.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna talk now. Now with that, we're gonna get into. Well, we have one more question, and then we're gonna get into a little bit about an alternate persona that you've mentioned, and then the weapons. So, you have a bunch of very cool titles. For anyone who saw the post for KOK, the the Lord of Bones, Master of the Forge, etc. What is the coolest custom title that you've seen or heard of?
Well, I've made a few. Well, one of the ones I did was Guardian of the Nine field that was 9 willows or whatever, and I wanted to do something special for them, and I did Guardian's lightsaber with like a clear acrylic thing.
Okay.
And Guardian's like one of the like classifications of Jedi and whatnot. I was like, yes. So that's one that I've given out. Cthulhu King, the Goblin King. There was one that was given out recently, and I can't remember what it was, but I was like, I like that, and I don't remember what the hell it was.
Okay.
But the first one that comes up is like probably that one, I guess.
Okay. Not a problem. So we have more questions about Rattles. Why is Rattles so good at building and maintaining fires? What draws him to fire?
Because one of his only weaknesses is fire? No, that's not what it was. It's because it makes it easier to make skeleton.
Okay. All right. Because it burns away the
flesh,
overcoat.
yeah.
Okay. All right. How long did it take to make Rattle's garb and mask?
So back in the day, I don't know. Rattles is geez, how old is Rattles now? I think somewhere around 7 years old. There's actually a YouTube channel that I did, Rattles TV. It's still up. It's still a thing, and it's still random. I started trying to do like a let's play of Diablo, but it's just really hot. And it used to be a winter block level with latex over it, and I would wear that and not take it off nor break character, not once.
Nope.
But I'll go show you the newest rendition of Rattles.
Okay, he's going to get Rattles. I know that there's people in the chat that are very excited about this. Dallin, are they gray Jedi? Jedi are going to come up later, so we might get a little bit more of a deep dive into that because, of course, Stillhat has some gray Jedi questions for VaLance.
Yeah, gray Jedi, the only thing that exists. So this is the newest rendition, which is actually going to get a rebuild. But this is Rattles. He's a bonehead. Rattles is technically just a skull. So the reason why he wants to be a paragon, a monster, because all he has to do is cut off the head of said monster and then puts his head on the side of it, and then he controls the body. So basically, what I did is I bonded his soul to the skull with that. So yeah, now you all know his weakness, his sigil. But yeah, he's got like wire mesh eyes. He's got latex over his face, jaw moves. Oh, yeah, I do have the harness in there. But he's a hard plastic. Like, this is a fighting mask, basically, is what I was going for. But because I added the latex, it is very hard to do this. Very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck it, I'll put them on.
Oh, we're getting to show, folks.
You can't watch.
What was once VaLance is now going to be Rattles. Fingers crossed that he comes back safely. No, that's super cool too. That the whole character is just a head, and then it's bound. It's kind of like Full Metal, right? That's Alphonse, isn't it?
Can you hear me?
I could barely hear you.
Oh, cool.
Oh, now I can hear you for sure.
Oh, that means you're connected to my headset right now.
Yeah. Okay.
No, there. I don't have everything, but it was on this.
Yeah,
like,
no, Sir Smiley, it is not fundraiser time. He is technically still here. I'm having a conversation with him. He's just not on the screen. You got to give us a minute before we start doing fundraiser stuff.
Fuck it. I don't know where my undermask still is. Hello there. How you doing?
Fantastic,
I'm here often.
Yeah, every week at 7 p.m. Mountain Time.
Oh yeah, wow, that's very nice.
That's awesome. That's so great. Are we gonna get some of these questions answered by Rattles now? Then. Okay.
I mean, if you want to do another one later for just Rattles, I will totally do it.
Well,
all time.
Of course, the next question was about Rattles. Was how did Rattles do during the pandemic?
Everyone had weak livers, as he told me. So he has a fascination with livers, and he just wants them because he knows it has something to do with alcohol, and he loves alcohol. So he wants everyone's livers.
Okay.
So he didn't see a whole lot of people, so he ran out of livers. He didn't understand why they were hiding.
Okay.
He's like, I don't know wherever these people are. Probably should have left it on for that, but
no, it's fine. VaLance, I'd like to say you are the first KOK guest to do multiple personas. So thank you for that. You also have the crowd very excited. They're very happy about this. So
God damn it.
So
everyone loves Rattles. Fuck Lance. Fuck him.
Sir Smiley would like to know, of course.
He's more charismatic. Dragon's milk.
Oh, awesome. Sir Smiley would like to know, does Rattles have a brother?
Skittles.
Skittles and Rattles? All right. Okay.
Then there's I don't remember his name. But yeah, there's Skittles and somebody else. I don't remember.
Okay, not a problem. Not a problem. I'm sure it may come to you in the middle of the next 15, 20 questions.
Riddles was the other one.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Riddles, and Rattles.
All right. So, one of our first carryover questions comes from Lightning from the Iron Mountains. What's your favorite garb that you own? Okay, fantastic.
I mean,
What's
there's a list, but mainly because I can't get another one of these. But I've made everything else. If I
okay?
could do this, but it's probably my favorite thing that I can't replace.
Okay. Would like to know what's your favorite ANS entry you've ever made? I think VaLance will be back. Oh,
I
maybe
mean,
not.
technically this is one, but honestly, I don't enter into Dragon Master because I don't believe in it.
Oh,
Because it's a very opinionated thing and it needs to change.
okay.
I also never won a Dragon Master. And I am a Serpent Knight for weapon making. So I am proof it can happen.
You listening,
So,
Kenjin?
oh, yeah, then that means I know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, so this is about 6 years old, 5 or 6 years old. Either way, it's kind of old, but it's 6 feet tall. Yeah. See, this is the reason why I usually have it the other way. Oh, actually, no, it's a little over 6 feet.
Yeah.
I'm 6'2". But it's light enough that I could use it one-handed. I wouldn't say like super effectively, but it's also made out of 11 different foams. 7 of those are just in this blade, but 4 of those are like in this area because I recently just redid this blade because I needed to do a new stab cap because if you look, this is blue foam and it's a great weapon. It had what I used to do, which I'm probably going back to, is I used to do these quite literally. So on any flat blade, getting like a 4-pound foam and just getting like a puck and cutting your core slot through it or whatever, and then trimming it to where it's at least a ½ inch, whatever, but having at least an inch to ½ inch of this will keep it from ever blowing out your stab tips. Unless, of course, you're using a great weapon and it takes a few years. But also, I started doing this on my great weapons, doing some open cell because when you don't want to get stabbed by your own great weapon, then that probably means you need to change something.
That's fair.
So I watch.
Yeah.
Splitting ribs suck. Great weapons being the most dangerous weapons in the game. And I think we should actually have, well, one, there should be 2 or 3 different classifications for great weapons. And we should probably start limiting the size.
Okay.
To be perfectly honest. I was like, be 7 or 10, but anything like, God, anything over 10 is just 1, unnecessary. And 2, if you hit somebody with that in a full swing, you are breaking something. It's
That's
just,
fair.
I don't know.
It's okay.
But I've been spending a lot of my time specializing and trying to master the art of like making a great weapon that doesn't hurt.
Okay.
Because I actually stopped using great weapons because I got tired of hurting people and I didn't want to hurt people, but it's my favorite weapon. So one of I don't want to derail again, but I'm going to do it anyways. Because
VaLance this is so Kato's already mentioned it, but yeah, this is one of the side effects of KOK offering to interview VaLance in his shop is VaLance has access to all of his stuff.
yeah, well, all right, so this I think it's like 8 feet or close there. I know it's a little over 7 feet, but the blade itself is flexible, but the shaft to the handle part is not. So that way, when you actually stab somebody, the blade itself flexes, which you can't see, but it's just like it flexes.
Okay.
And but yeah, this is like one of the safest fucking like big ass pole arms, and I do it a lot. I have like a collapsible version and stuff, but that one's that I just showed you is my personal one,
Okay.
which has a golf club for the blade. But for my collapsible ones, I use 602 because 602 goes into electrical conduit, a half-inch electrical conduit like this,
Yeah.
perfectly.
Okay.
And then the handles that I use, that slips into that perfectly. So I make collapsible pole arms that won't break people.
Well, that's great, and we thank you for that. So, of course, the next question is, what sparked your passion in building weapons?
So I made my first weapon like a week or two before I ever started AmpGuard or even knew about AmpGuard. My first weapon, I will never forget it. And the sad part is I could actually replicate it like right now.
No. Okay. VaLance is gone again.
It was. I mean, I could just take you with me, but you know, people might get motion sickness. I don't know.
Well, there's suggestions in the chat that we need to just get a cardboard cutout of you to stay in camera, so that we can still have the conversation while you're checking on your stuff.
Actually, you know what? Can it switch while we're live?
Yep.
Is it switch?
Yep.
It works? Okay,
Yep.
cool. That'll work. So, all right. So I got a pool noodle. All right. So I was like, pool noodle. I got a mop handle. I did that, and then all I did was that. And I was like, it's a glaze. Yeah, that was my first weapon ever. But what actually got me into making weapons was a person that should have been a fucking master owl serpent knight before I ever did was what was his hamper name at the time? Oh wow. God dang it. His name is Colin.
Okay. Colin, if you're out there, just let us know.
But I mainly knew him as Colin, but he was one of the only people at the time that was making katanas. Like, he's the reason why I've like spent most of my time trying to master like making curved weapons and whatnot. And he said I eventually surpassed him. He's like, I can't do that stuff. And I was just like, and it made me really sad because he gave up on the game shortly thereafter. And he was actually the person that inspired me. And I told him about it. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, you're the whole reason why like I really wanted to master it, because the stuff that he would come up with, like, still blow my shit out of the water visually. Just they weren't durable enough when they became too pretty, because he wouldn't tape his blades, and you like foam, especially when you're using like mini cell type foam like MC 1900 or similar foams, is the foam's gonna tear, and it like and basically he made a straight core curved katana, but the core was straight and it looked curved. And then I started learning how to do that, and I was just like, but it was just so pretty. It was so pretty. But yeah, he was the reason why I really wanted to. He was my inspiration. There you go. That's what I was looking for. Like, he'd ever taught me how to do anything. No one ever taught me how to do shit, actually.
Sir Smiley is suggesting the name could be Shinigami.
Yeah, Shinigami.
There we go.
Yeah, at the time his Emperor name was Shinigami, and then it was, it changed to something very much like Colin, but he ended up changing his persona to Scottish instead of like a Japanese.
Okay.
But yeah, Shinigami. That's what his name was. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he should be a Serpent Knight.
But he stopped playing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Still would like to know what's your favorite background static to work with? So music, TV shows, movies. Do you do any of that when you're doing your work, or is it
Oh, audiobooks. I got probably over 300 audiobooks.
okay? Is there one you would recommend to someone who's looking for an audiobook to start?
To start, well, Dresden Files. If you know anything about that, then you should be listening to Dresden Files. The one I'm currently listening to that has about 16 books, a lot like Dresden Files, is the Nate Temple series by some author, because I don't
Hmm.
ever remember authors. I'm horrible with names unless it's repeated to me and I say it. Like, I won't remember your name if it wasn't for the fact that I was like, that's Kodiak. And he has KOK, which is catchy as all hell. Kingdom of Kodiak. I was like, that's not very catchy, but KOK is very catchy.
Well, thank you. I think.
Yes.
Okay.
By the way, this is 11%.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
you okay? Well, if you get to nap time halfway through, just let me know. Uh, so, Sir Smiley has a combination question here. He wants to know the 10 things every phone smith should
Oh,
have,
that one.
and then 10 things
Don't.
that people, yeah, that don't. Can you give us a
Okay.
list of what they should and shouldn't have?
Well, you should have something to cut with. I don't really care what it is. What I actually use, oh, thank God I didn't have to get up for it, is I use this
Okay.
for about 12 years. I've had this, and I was using this all the way up to like 3 years ago. And it wasn't until like a year ago I started using these. I
Okay.
didn't use these because I couldn't afford to fucking, change out the blades. Like, all right, I got a new blade, which this actually has like a chamber where you reload, but I got to reload it. But until I started doing my business, I was like, I was a cheapskate. I was like, I'm gonna go buy some blue foam and some puzzle mat like everyone else.
Yep. Yep.
And oddly enough, it's actually cheaper to buy the foam online because the amount you get versus what you would pay for the other foam is like way cheaper. Actually, like it's actually gotten to the point where it's cheaper to buy double the price, but you get like 4 times the foam.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, if you could spend $100, I would recommend ordering foam. And I ordered by foam by mail.
Okay.
So foam supplier, whether it be Walmart, which is mainly everyone else, Foamies. Foamies are these little peel and stick foam deals where you peel off the back and it sticks.
Good. I'm glad that you were going to ask. I'm glad that you brought that up because I was going to have to ask where you felt about foamies because that is my material of choice. But go ahead.
Foamies are really good for a lot of little things. What they do best is handles, vibration absorption, and you can make a pommel instantaneously with them. You get one sheet, cut it in half, and then you cut one of those sheets in half, and then you cut one of those sheets in half, and then you cut one of those sheets in half, and you just spiral them all together, and you put on your end piece, and then you have a doorknob handle. I can show you what that looks like.
Listen, guys, in the chat, yeah, I know a lot about foamies. It's a reality we live with here over in KOK. I don't claim to be a craftsman of any variety, but foamies rule.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just like, I can hear you when I walk away, so don't worry if you have like questions that you don't think I can hear. I got my
Okay.
bone conducting headset. So this is a 5-6 year old Omni back when I used to do Omnis. This one's kind of special to me because it was someone that I made for and they passed away. Which is the reason why I'm not going to take it apart. Because I was like, oh, I could wait, no, that's right. But this is a doorknob handle, as I like to call it, and it's just one sheet of foaming is what made all this, and then taping and and then electrical tape. Like I use electrical tape on all my swords, but I don't do it on the outside of my weapon. I do it underneath. Like I do it as either to smooth stuff out, secure something, add a little bit of counterweight. You know, like I still use a lot of the old stuff that I used to use. I just use it in a different way, or it's like that is really good for this one thing, because nothing will ever replace that.
Okay.
Foamies is one of those, like, I'm just like, you need foamies. It's like, why? Because the entirety, this is a marker pole, but the entirety of the core is wrapped in foamies. And then it's got a noodle over it that has, like, basically it becomes legal because of the foamies filling up that space, and it also makes it last really long. But anyone that knows marker poles is like, they're really flexible, but like the entirety of this handle is a PVC conduit, so it only flexes past your hand, so you can't really tell until you hit, and then the whole like block, and then it like, how did that hit my wrist? Cheating weapons, as I like to call them. But I used to sell those for like $20.
So I've heard foamies, electrical tape, PVC piping, golf
Well, you said
club.
tools though, not materials.
Well, I mean, 10 things that you
Items.
need. You need.
Oh, need? Okay. Well, you need your foam. You need a knife, a marking tool, a permanent marker works great. And you can basically do almost everything with that. And contact cement. And I'm going to go ahead and yell right now. Contact cement. Dispenser a bottle. Good dispenser bottle. This is literally, you can tell it's for barbecue sauce. It works great. I've had this one for a year or two now. And as long as you just clean this up, and when you like, fuck that shit. Sorry. Scissors.
Is there any? Would you say there's any misconceptions about what equipment you would have to have as a foam smith? Like things you wouldn't have?
You don't need any of these tools I have behind me. You don't need a drill press. It's fucking useful. Makes things so much faster. You don't need a sander. You don't need that. You don't need it. I've only gotten most of these things in the last few years. Before then, I was sitting here with my knife and hopes and dreams and a big old can of contact cement. That's how I did it for years. Now, the power tools make it so much faster. So much. Bandsaw, my bandsaw right there, that's my baby. That's my baby. I cut everything with that thing. And it's a one of a kind. They only made it in that size of Delta. And it's a 12-inch, so it's perfect. So it's like it needs something a 12-inch, but it's a little, don't have to measure it. So this is how you fill this. You suck it up.
We're getting some tutorials here, folks.
Get your knife, just kind of. So you don't need a hammer, you just need a good knife. Then you need paper towels.
So that sounds like a list of 10 things. There was the glues and the paper towels and the foams of different varieties and the cores and the PVC and the tapes and the ruler and markers.
Honestly, contact cement, and I recommend using a roller applying your contact cement.
And a roller for contact cement.
Okay. I used to use the foam and smooth it out, but then you have to wait like 10 minutes. But if you use a roller, you don't have to wait, because that soaks up all the solvent, and so all the solids stay behind, and it's really thin, makes it really light, and that's the reason why my weapons are thin, light, and ridiculous.
All right. So The next question transitions a little bit away from the sword and talks about the covers, and it's from Kato. What's your pro tip for sewing those amazing sword covers?
Don't ask me.
Don't ask him. There you go, Kato.
I do the tutorials. I've done videos on my done live streams of doing covers on my page. I wanted to say group. I'm like, it's not group, it's on my page, on Lancer Armory page. And actually there is one thing that I found out that was actually really took me a long time to master.
Okay.
So actually I could easily do a little just small little tutorial. Tiny little bit.
So many tutorials. Okay.
Just tiny little bit. All right. So we're not gonna do the axe because that's a little different. So you get your katana or your sword or whatever. It doesn't really matter what it is. You're gonna trace this blade on the fabric with, you know, marker, chalk. I just use a permanent marker because it doesn't matter because it's not gonna be seen. So I used to use like chalk and all this other fancy shit and like soap, and I was just like, nope, don't care anymore. But when you trace it out on the tip end, you're gonna add from the tip angle. No, fuck. From the tip angle, you're gonna extend the cover in a gradual dill when you're coming out.
Okay.
It's very important. And it has to be towards the tip. Like it's got to be like because you're going at that 90. You're like, all right, so right there, and then you go straight out about 1.5 inches. Because if you don't do that, it won't work. So everything else is flush, seamless, or whatever. I get double folded, extra wide bias tape. That's literally what this is. And then the hard part is getting this section, but because of the double fold, that second fold or the
All right, well, let's check this. We're going to check the chat real quick while VaLance goes and gets more stuff for more tutorials. Sir Smiley would like to know what you would recommend for a roller brand for your paint roller.
Oh, Whiz.
Whiz. Sir Smiley. Whiz.
It's WHIZZ. And then the type of roller that you want is the Whiz Flock. So, all right. So when you're sewing the two sides together, you're going to do one starting from the base all the way to the tip, and then you're going to sew from the tip all the way to the base.
Okay.
If you don't do it that way, it shifts. If you're like really fancy, good at sewing, and you use like, the pins and whatnot, which I don't do because I don't have the patience for it. So when you're getting around this tip, right, what you're trying to do is, because you're starting from here, is you fold this, you pin it, and then you bend it, and you set the needle in there, and you set that, and you're trying to do it all the way up to where the foot is matching up to where it's going to be like that at the end, or
Okay.
the rest of it's like that. So it's kind of have a fold. And if you do it just right, you'll get something that looks a lot like this. It's called the pantyhose. I don't know. The panties. That's what I called it one time. It's like, what? It's the panty fold. Because you'll sew the back up straight, and but the hard part is actually the stab tip. It's super hard to do.
I just want to point out to the KOK viewers that VaLance said he had no tips for sewing, and then we just got a 10-minute tutorial of sewing.
Look at 10 minutes.
Okay. All
It was
right.
like 10 seconds times 10.
Well, I'm scared to ask now, but how do you make a shield cover for a toboggan?
A toboggan?
Yeah.
Toboggan curve shield, right?
Yeah.
Tape.
Tape. tape. All right, moving on.
I was like,
How
I
much?
actually could tell you, but I don't think I could explain it. You would
That's
have
fair.
to literally add about. Actually, no, it's very simple. Put the toboggan down, right? Measure from the base of the toboggan to the tip, how far that is by holding a ruler flat, like this. Add about that many inches. Inches. It's either half or that many. I think it's half. No, it's that many. How many inches up? Then you do binding all the way around. And you yeah. But that's kind of a just to see how much surface area you need. It's like, is it going to look great? I don't fucking know. I haven't done one.
Okay.
It's been like 10, 15 years since I did a toboggan one.
All right. So, in general, how much time on average a week do you spend on weapon crafting?
If I'm not sleeping, I'm here.
Okay.
Or playing video games or on the weekends. So basically, actual like working on stuff, I usually get a solid of 4 hours every day of actually working on stuff. The other times I'm either cleaning, can't make up my mind what I want to do, looking at all of this and going, ah! Because it's chaotic as fuck, and not be able to either find something. So like earlier, like before we even started this, I was looking for something and I couldn't find it. And I was like, it's a constant. The biggest problem is I was organizing everything while I was moving in. Then my parents are like, hey, you still got stuff over here. Come get it. I'm like, okay. So then I was just throwing all the stuff that I had storage over there. So this is like my storage. I basically live here. And I wouldn't mind living here if I had a shower and a kitchen and a toilet. And this is all I would ever need. But I don't have those things, so yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Like literally, I would just have a metal building with like a kitchen, a bedroom, and then a toilet. Right. Washer and dryer would be nice, but not necessary. I can go somewhere else for that. But like if you're working on something and you really got to go, you don't want to walk a mile or get in your car to go, I have to shit now.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. All right. So Smiley would like to know, arrows. Can Smiley Foamworks get 1,000 or so?
No.
No. Okay. No. Moving on.
He wants 1,000 of them, but I don't think he wants to pay for 1,000 of them.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're trying to work out a deal or whatever, but at the same time, he's like, I want the mustache, and I'm like, but if I'm making them, they're going to be mine. You're going to be selling them. So my proposal, if he's watching right now, is I'll make them without the covers, and you make the covers, and they'll just do half price, whatever.
Okay, all right.
Half price. If not, I no, because actually putting on the covers is probably what takes half the time. Well, not really. It's not that bad, but it's the thing I don't like doing. I don't mind putting them together. Okay, like I literally have everything to put together arrows like right in front of me, which is what I was doing before this.
Okay.
Sorry.
We got a couple more questions about a collab between you and Sir Smiley. He says deal, by the way. So you guys will have to finalize that off camera. But the Smiling Lance, a podcast for foamsmithery, LARPing, and other nerd stuff. What do you think? Do you want to do it?
Maybe rethink the name, but yeah.
Okay.
I've seen all the questions. So I've thought about them, and I was like, I don't like the name because I'm like, it's like Smiling Dragon, maybe, or something along those lines.
Okay. Sir Smiley would also like to know, can Lancer Armory and Smiley Foamworks start a partnered internship program?
Partnered internship program. See, I read that and I was like, I don't know what he means by that, because everyone that wants to learn from me, because I'll teach anyone for fucking free. I was like, I'd rather have safer, better weapons out there than be like, nah, man, like $20 up front. It's like, no, it's like I'd rather you like learn how to make a weapon safely than just going, hey, I got this metal pipe and you know, because like as far as I know, like I haven't really like this. I really it sounds super arrogant, but I have yet to find someone that makes really pretty weapons that are light and balanced. Or you find really balanced light weapons, but they're popsicle sticks.
I
Or ugly as hell. And it's just like, and I'm like somewhere in between, even though I can do pretty and light, but it's like it's $20 an hour. If it takes me 8 hours to make something, you're paying $160 for that weapon.
fair.
So,
I would throw Kenjin's name out there for someone who can make it pretty and light for all the tech I've seen, plus the tech that I've held from his. But again,
is it Kenjin Perry?
Pierre, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
I knew that's who that you were talking about. Yeah, he did the comma and stuff. He was like, I looked at it, I was just like, I want to touch it.
Someone clip
Then he
that,
said he was
please.
stretching material. I was just like, I still want to touch it. Because I was like, oh man, those covers look great. And then it's stretching. I'm like, still, even with stretching material, like you can't really tell. So sexy. Like he did the commas. Because I originally did like a comma build tutorial or whatever.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna get up.
No, it's fine. Okay. All right. Since you're not getting up, I'm going to try to get to the next question before you get a desire to get up again.
Everything's over there. I should just be over there. No, I'm just kidding.
Sir Smiley would like to know, what one weapon should the two of you collab on?
What one weapon? Well, he does omnis.
Mhm.
And I won't make omnis because I tell everyone that asks me for an omni, just buy it from Smiley. Unless it's a pole arm, then you buy it from me because, well, I make omni pole arms. That's about it because omni pole arms are much safer than flat blade pole arms, mainly due to the surface area of striking. Like a flat blade can have a surface area like this, and you can split someone's ribs with just that on
Sure.
like a flat blade type deal. So I don't really recommend big. I don't like when it comes to like a great weapon, like a flat blade, anything over, I don't know, 6 feet is just kind of like, especially when it comes to the stabs, like you have to have a very beefy, robust stab. And I'm definitely going to the point of the squishiness on that, which on that I was very happy with. And I did it on a couple other ones. I also do dag weapons.
Sure.
So,
Why not? Why don't you guys use two things that you have the tech for and he would have the coverings for, and make throwies with your belt attachment, and he can make the covers, and it wouldn't be any weapon with any core. It would just be a throwy.
I make spell balls.
Or spell balls. Okay.
Well, they're not technically balls, but they are cylindrical.
Well, speaking of your spell balls, Kato would like to know if you could tell us about your Raijin spell balls. Ryujin, sorry.
Yeah, it means water dragon, basically. Well, this is that. You know what? I'm just gonna unplug you. You're at 100%. I'm just gonna take you with me.
Okay, here we go, folks. We're going for a ride.
It might get really bad in here. I'm just gonna go ahead and grab. So I made like 36 of these today. Ooh. But basically, I just wanted to grab one without the cover on it.
Sure.
Which, this is not even the official cover because I haven't figured out what type of cover I want to do. So They're basically pills. That's what I like to call them. But they're the gamma balls. Excuse me, half. This center part is a puck that is hollow. It's hollowed out with like, that's how much I took out of the puck.
Okay.
And then I filled that with silicone. And then I put carpet tape on both sides. The carpet tape keeps it in place and it keeps the foam from ever shifting. That's how I do my arrowheads. It's how I do basically a lot of things, because carpet tape is meant to keep carpet in place. So it's very heavy duty, especially if you're using the fiberglass stuff and not the other weird crap that you can find out there, but the fiberglass stuff. And then I just do that. But these things fly really well. Right now I'm debating on what fabric I want to use more than anything. I don't really want to use ripstop, primarily because it's transparent, kind of like this is, especially when it comes to yellow and, you know, yellow lightning bolts and whatnot. So, can you see? Yeah. So it just, they throw pretty good. They throw like footballs, technically.
Good.
Like that's how they feel, because they have like substantial weight. They bounce very weird because of that center weight and the way that they're bouncy. So they're very much like a pill, but I call them bolts because they're not technically a ball, but it's spherical, which is what the rule book says. It doesn't say it has to be a ball. It says it has to be spherical, which a cylinder is. I'm not a rules Nazi by choice.
Kato just says one word and wants your opinion, apparently. Back shields.
Back shields? I don't see why we shouldn't be able to, like, a shield is still a shield if you're not using it. And a shield can be broken in our game same way as anything else. I don't see why we can't use back shields. Like, to be perfectly honest, like if I do this and I go, oh, hey, it's still a shield. Or, you know, you throw it, it still should act like a shield. So,
okay.
I like the idea of back shield, kind of. I actually like Gorge or Borge. It's the shoulder shield.
Okay.
Which is legal in Amp-Guard. But back shield, I don't see why we couldn't, because like we have stuff that breaks stuff, and like DAG and stuff, they don't really, I mean, they still break with like weapons, but we have like extra shit that breaks, you know, like spell balls. And I guess it's because you can't see it. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
All right. Do you have tips on Plasti Dip?
Never Plasti Dip a blade and expect it to last.
That sounds reasonable.
Plasti Dip does not last in our game. It really doesn't. Now, Plasti Dip by itself, I use an entire spray can on a handguard and a pummel.
Okay.
And that's enough Plasti Dip. And I'm like, you know, doing several coats. 1 or 2 coats? No, you want to use a fuck ton of coats. But I wouldn't recommend ever doing a Plasti Dip blade unless it's a showpiece. Axes are okay, surprisingly, but like an actual blade, like they never last. They look good, you know, great and whatnot, but like a blade needs to be skinned because of the foam and the way that we fight. Because of the way we fight, it needs to have that skin to keep the foam from tearing. Like if we were playing, you know, lightest touch, man, I'd be fucking up some, you know, Plasti Dip blades all pretty and shit. But there's no games around here that do lightest touch other than Nero, and like I don't know. I don't know anyone other than like 2 people that actually play it. So it's like I'll make a really pretty weapon. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see a point of it if I have like no one that really wants them.
Okay.
And the amount of time, oh my god, so much more time.
Okay.
So
Uh,
much more time.
Kato would like to know, you have a pretty good guarantee on your weapons, right? What about refurbishment? His saber is a little out of date and he would like to step it up a notch.
Generally I'll actually do the covers for free. However, the problem is getting that weapon back to me. I don't want to pay to ship it and send it. And honestly, most people usually just get it recovered and never get back to me on it. The big sword that I'm working on. I'm doing it for free, even though I'm pretty sure he's going to pay me anyways. But usually I'll do covers or whatever for like $10. But if it's like something I made, I'll do it for free because I do covers weird.
Okay.
Generally, but I'm not going to pay to ship it to me. So I've never had anyone. I've been trying to figure out how to actually do the, like, if someone's cover's like, oh, it's torn, could you replace it? Like, generally I do it for free. It's not that big of a deal for me.
Okay.
But
Kato mentions in the chat that he'd be willing to come to you.
yeah, I mean, he'd have to come here because like I said, I'm redoing this one almost completely for free. But I'm pretty sure he's gonna pay me for re-plastic dipping and all that stuff. Mainly because I really love this weapon and I love the person that it came from. I'm not saying I don't love you, Kato, but you never did buy that fucking dagger, bootleg dagger thing.
Kato.
I freaking came up with.
Whoa. Okay.
He asked me to make them, and he's like, "If you make them, I'll buy them." I'm like, all right. Came up with them. Never bought one. I was like,
well, I guess that answers the question that was coming up is what Kato should buy next. Probably the thing you made VaLance build that you never, bought. There you go, Kato. Devrick would like to know, other than crafting weapons, what is something that you're well known for in Amtgard?
rattles.
Rattles, okay.
I mean, other than like, I'll shoot you with a bow. I'm mainly known for weapons and someone else.
Well, it's just another persona, but
Yeah.
the last question of our first section, mind you, we have 3 more sections. I'm just saying, is from Sir Smiley. When are you going to run for king?
As soon as we're no longer nonprofit.
Oh, that's fair. As soon as you're no longer a nonprofit. Fantastic. Second section starts with another Sir Smiley question, VaLance.
Or I should say actual nonprofit, because that's, no, I'm not even going to touch that. Never mind.
That's fair.
I would love to be king. I would, but no.
Okay. When are you coming to visit Sir Smiley?
I was going to do it that weekend, but then I had other things I had to do, and I couldn't afford it. I don't know. As long as he has a place for me to stay, basically whenever. I was like, hell, I just go work for him. I just go make him his stuff. I could crank out all his stuff really fast.
Okay.
I'll start using my pommels so he can have good pommels again, or have good pommels. I would. His. Have you seen his pommels? I give him shit all the time.
I am a recent procurer of 2 Smiley Foamwork swords. Yeah, I used them 2 weekends ago for their mid-range tournament.
Yeah, good blades. Good blades.
I have no problem with the swords, but
with the pommel. Come on, the pommel is sad. It's so sad.
I had a pretty sick pommel block this last on Monday for Memorial Day. I got to fight in Pegasus Valley with Unknown, and I had a sick pommel block with a Sir Smiley sword. It made me very proud. So I can't argue against the pommel. Can't do it.
But it's just like a piece of pipe installation, unless he's changed it. Unless he finally updated. I heard he updated it, actually, now I think about it. Hmm.
Okay.
No, I'm
Okay.
just kidding.
Uh, Sir Smiley would like to know. You know, Sir Smiley, the guy you've been talking about recently. What
Yeah,
is it?
is this gonna be smiley, 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 kiddo, 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 smiley, 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 kiddo,
No,
kiddo, kiddo.
Stillhead's in here. We've got some Kenjin questions. Dever got some questions. I've got some questions. Uh, what's the difference between you and Amcard now and you and Amcard when you started?
I started when I was 13. I did not have a supervisor. I
Okay.
literally got dropped off at the park and then got picked up after the park was done. Can you do that nowadays?
Nope.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. That's just the best example of, and we used to all hang out. I mean, we still do, but even when I first started, didn't really all hang out because I was 13, didn't really know. But but I'm always the last to leave park, even today.
I feel that. Okay. Stillhead would like to know what's the coolest Amcard household that you've ever heard of?
Heard of, not started or part of. I'm limiting those out because it's like, because those are all the ones I know. And I'm like, heard of. All the ones that I like, I'm already part of or started. um, Wolf Riders, I like the name. I don't really, other than like them howling at clan and stuff, but that was actually more of a recent thing. They actually weren't actually up there for a while because there was like chaos because I was also part of Turaton Moon deal and coolest still. The idea of the Amazon,
Okay.
not the execution.
Oh, okay. Uh,
There's reasons, but yeah, the
sure.
idea of the Amazon.
Uh, Blairo would like to know what are some of your favorite Amcard moments?
When I shoot my squire in the ball.
Okay. All right.
Sure, that's like it's not a day in Amcard until someone gets hit in the nuts.
Fair enough. Sir Smiley would like to know the best cosplay you've ever done.
Rattles. I mean,
Okay.
the best I've made. I actually made an Umbreon, female Umbreon, like wizard, Asian deal for one of my girlfriends a while back. That was probably my favorite because I made it from scratch and it looked good.
Okay. Uh,
But
you were
yeah.
talking. We were talking about households, and Deverick wanted to point out the veterans household. I believe you called that the DMV. We talked about this just before we went live.
Oh yeah, that's right. So I made a new household called the DMV because no one likes the DMV and the DMV doesn't like you. So it's dysfunctional military vet. I started a household for us grumpy fucks. And to have belt favors with 7 red lines, basically American flag, but they're supposed to be like without like the stars and whatnot. And this is going to DMV, and then people are just going to be like, I don't understand. Or just DMV. Just like, we are the DMV. No one likes the DMV. Exactly. Stay away from the DMV.
Okay.
Leave the DMV alone.
Oh, that's fun. I like it. Of course, we got a carryover question from Cato. It's to flurb or not to flurb.
Always the flurb.
Okay, always the flurb. Sir Smiley would like to know the best advice for an RP event and the best advice for RP at a local park.
Okay, this one's kind of complicated, but also really simple. And it kind of doesn't really involve so much the RP aspect, is so much the execution of the game.
Okay,
Keep it simple.
sure.
The more you have to explain, the more chaotic and more people don't want to play. So also, because the way Amp-Guard is perceived and actually is, Amp-Guard isn't really a LARP. It wants to be, but it's really not. It's a combat fantasy medieval sport because hardly anyone LARPs. like no one actually plays a character. They're playing a class, but they're
Sure.
not usually playing a character. You go up north, you'll see a lot more LARP because there's so many LARPs up north that they're all like, because it's cold, so they can wear whatever the fuck they want.
Okay.
Which is what my excuse is that's why there's so much more LARPs. Oh my god, there's that one LARP that's in like Canada that's only like one time a year and it's like full immersion for like 3 weeks or some shit.
Yeah.
Can't remember what it's called.
Deverick, which one is that? Because that's the one you sent me, I think. He's like,
Yeah,
we need to go and just live. Because, no, so down here, we're working. There's been a push by the Monarchy teams and the players to get RP to be more of a deal, a bigger
yeah.
deal. Um,
So what I would recommend is because first off, I want the only like actual like thing that I really want is I want my master dead, but I also want my master mask, which is I can't remember which one's amp guard wide and which one's not amp guard wide.
so mask is amp guard wide, and then
Okay, dead is not.
no.
Yeah. Well, see, some people like I know some kingdoms use like mask and dead interchangeably. Well, here in GP, mask is only given out once a reign for one character, one person. Dead is, you know, it can be given out multiple times
Okay.
at multiple deals for basically having, you know, good role play. So that's one thing that GP gives to people that have good role play. However, if you're running an event and you're running battle games, you give rewards to those who role play. So if you're running a battle game, if someone's role playing like just like fucking falls over dead, be like, yeah, you get an extra life or you know, point of protect, simple stuff like that.
Mhm.
But if you want like overall, like at the end of Kingdom, be like, all right, somebody gets this at end of reign or something, you know, get something for people to like push for it. Like they want a reward system because we all like shiny things. Ooh. And like everyone plays a goblin because goblins are fun. Goblins are words. Goblins are insane. Goblins are inner child trying to kill our outer adult.
Fair enough. We're getting the LARP in Canada. I've already been slaughtered in the comments for my pronunciation of Naruto, so I'm gonna try this. Bicoline.
Yeah, Pickling. Yeah.
I did it. 10 points to
I have no
Kodiak.
idea if that's how you say it, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's exactly the one I'm talking about.
Okay. Kenja would like to know, what does your perfect Amp Guard event look like?
Me not running it, but everything going the way I would run it.
Okay, that's fair.
You know, event like basically there's always something to do for everybody, and there's something to shoot for, and like squashing drama before it becomes an issue is number one most important.
Okay, that sounds good. Kato would like to know, depending on the bid, are we still on for GOTC?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay. Kato would like to know, want to create a Flurby event with me? It should be in Central Texas and involve a castle structure. Obviously, our tavern will be there.
Yeah. I've been trying to figure that exact thing out, but yeah, it's definitely one of the things I've been wanting to do for fuck all ever.
Awesome. That would be great. Let me know because an all Flurb RP
literally
event.
a site that we could drink at, because I'm not going anywhere I can't drink because someone's going to drink at a non-drinking site. So you might as well just make it a drinking site.
Sure.
Just to be perfectly honest.
Okay. This is a carryover question from Shroud Star. Shroud Star, if you're listening and your house is okay, please reach out because we still are nervous about. There was a hailstorm in the middle of her episode, and she had to leave because all of her windows got blown out.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah. So Shroud Star, if you see this, let us know. If you could create a ladder award in Amcard that doesn't already exist, what would it be for, and what would you name it?
Honestly, the thing that they're trying to do right now with Battle Master or whatever,
Battle Knight?
uh,
Yeah.
I, I've been wanting to do for quite a while. And the simple fact of what they made, like what's proposed right now, like I 100% agree with it because it makes Paragon mean something. And what I mean by that right now, I'm going to harp on GP right now, but here we go. Everyone that's got a Paragon has not deserved it.
Oh, okay.
Reason why there's only like two. There's only two that I'm like, yeah, because back in the day when I'm growing up, because old school basically, a master was basically you knew everything. You were level 6, you knew the class, but you either A, broke games with it,
Hmm.
or B, you didn't want to play because they were playing that class. And none of those people that have gotten the Paragons right now that I'm like, they're hardly a threat on the field right now.
Okay.
Like it's kind of one of those like there's people that I do know that like if they're playing a certain class, I'm like, fuck, I have to either play this class or I have to use this thing
Hmm.
to hard counter. But for the most part, like I'm talking about NGP. I don't know about everywhere else, but basically here is like if you ask for it and you show that you have interest of being it and you have somewhat of a no, and it, some people are going to get mad, but I'm like, just my opinion. I grew up like we didn't have very many masters, and the people that did broke games playing that class and
Okay.
like could change the battlefield.
That
And some of the people that got them recently, I'm just like, no, like Paddles is one of them. Paddles deserves his Paragon Barbarian because he can change a battle game playing Barbarian. He's like definitely one of the people I was like, yeah. And the other one, I don't remember if he got a Masterhood or he got a Paragon, and that was Hearn, but I think he got a Masterhood. He didn't get a Paragon. And then before that, and then some of the other people, I was just like, even my own Squire, who I made him a banner, like his Masterhood or whatever, his Paragon is Assassin, right? I made him a war banner with a bamboo dill, whatnot, and it literally says Master of Death in kanji, and it has a symbol and stuff. You can see it on Lancer Armory. It's a banner, a war banner. That is his
mhm.
scroll. And I was just like, you're not a good assassin, but I'm
that
not going to tell the queen no.
Your answer there answers a couple of questions about Paragon, but we're gonna talk about the RP Knight shortly. Here shortly, in a minute. I have a question I like to ask every week. If you could change one rule in Amp right now, what would it be and why?
There's a couple of them.
What's
One
that?
rule.
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, there's a couple of them. There's one thing I wish they would define
Okay.
more than change. They need to define what is end. And let me explain this because on the pommel, it defines that the very end of the pommel has to be 2 inches. However, the way that they say it for the cross guard, it says it has to have a 2-inch cross section perpendicular to the core, so with it.
Mm-hmm.
But if the end has to be 2 inches, and some people are like, oh, the end for the stab tip has to be 2 inches, and it doesn't go through 1.5 inch through the 2.5 inch ring.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, that rule does not go to cross guards or pommels. It only references the stab tip. I don't know how many times people will get this 2-inch ring and use that. That is not even in the rule set. However, that is a DAG rule, but not an amp guard rule. It just has to have a 2-inch cross section. So it could be pointy as all hell and all this other stuff because of the way the rule is written. But the way the rules are written right now is it has to be 2 inches flat if the very end of the weapon is the end and not the first inch and a half of it. Because if it's in the first inch and a half of it, then okay. But it doesn't say that. It says the very end. So if you don't have a flat pommel, you don't have a legal pommel. By the way you can interpret end, because it says the very end, and it's like, that's the very end. To me, this is the end. But this could also be the end if it's defined as the first inch and a half or whatever. That is my biggest thing, because I don't know how many times I've gotten different arguments because there's no definition of end in the rule book. So it's very, but then again, the rule book's full of interpretation, not so much. And it's just like, it drives me insane because I have to argue with people all the time. It's like, know what it says.
Okay.
That's not what it says.
All right. Still would like to know what's your thoughts on changing the warrior path. So there's some discussion about masterhood being removed, maybe lowering, not needing 10 orders of the warrior, maybe only needing 8 to possibly become a sword knight. Just conversations that are being had. What are your thoughts on a transition of the orders of the warrior?
Well, with today's society, it's being talked about with people that want to be bottle fed everything.
Sure.
It's like, politically correct people, like, I'm technically a millennial, but I'm not what everyone classifies as a millennial now. So it's like using millennials is kind of dumb at this point. But, the newer generations. But in all reality, Warlord is toxic as fuck.
Okay.
Because here's an example. One of my good friends is Fusion, who I'm naming the spell bolts after. He became a warlord. He deserves his warlord. But he went to clan and literally got his ass beat all the time, like on purpose, because he had the name warlord. The warlord culture is toxic. Sure. And I can't say it's not, because I would love to be a warlord, because it's another lord. It's warlord. I want that because it says lord. However, I don't want it because how you have to get it, and once you get it, what is expected of you. I can't just become a warlord and still be goofy as fuck on the battlefield and have a good time, which is what I do. I don't participate in tournaments because warlord and tournaments is this, I gotta win. It's not fun anymore. It takes the fun out of the game. I understand competitiveness, and I love competitiveness. Like, I try so hard not to go into tournaments because I can become very competitive, but I don't want to be that way, because then that's how you start hurting people, because then you have a point to prove, because now you have to be a good fighter and you have to be recognized, because if you're not recognized, you will be shunned upon. And it's literally just, I'm not saying get rid of it, but those that are getting it now need to fucking change the way it is. That's all I'm going to say about it. It doesn't really need to be changed, but the culture itself needs to change. That's what I'm going to say about it, even though I went on a long ass rant.
Nope, that's fine. I think that conversation ties into the RP night or the battle game night. We'll get to that when we get to the night conversation. Still would like to know, how many households are you in? Okay. All right.
I'm just like, I'm the head of at least 5.
Okay.
I was like, I'm part of the Drunken Dragon, which I run, the Dark Brotherhood, the Blood Lotus. Those are 2 assassin ones that most people don't know about, because it's more of a, no one knows why I killed you the way I did. Let's just say that.
Okay.
It's basically only the assassins group knows what's going on, basically, which is what I ended up doing with the Blood Lotus, but I had the Dark Brotherhood, but that kind of went away. And I want to bring it back because it ties into the Drunken Dragon. The Drunken Dragon is It's literally a tavern, and what I mean by a tavern is literally you go there because this is how I run my RP games. You
Mm-hmm.
go there, you get quests from a quest board, and you get money that you can use to buy. Literally, you can actually buy said axe from
Sure.
me after you do stuff, and that's how I do my incentive for role play and quests.
Okay.
Is I give you like you go do this and whatnot, and like the quest board will change. I also give out free booze because I like to drink, even though I actually don't drink as much as people think I do. In fact,
Okay.
this is it's like Lance is drunk. He's always drunk. Um, Serotonin Moon, Dark, Lotus. Those are all the ones I can remember off the top of my head. There's
Okay.
quite a few more, and I'm
Well,
I'm fucking blanking out on them. But
well,
I'm
it's not.
I'm in at least like 5, and most of those I'm in charge of.
Okay. Well, Kenjin said he's gonna look, so if we get a number, we'll reference it.
They're not all on there. I can tell you right now.
Okay. Sir Smiley's finally in his moment here. Okay. Sir Smiley
Yeah.
says next year's fundraiser, which he's referencing the beard fundraiser that Kato and I shaved for, and Sir Smiley shaved his mustache for.
And
Would
putting
you
my
put
hair
your
up for it.
Would you put your
No.
hair up for it? No.
No, no.
No.
You
What
know
if I
why?
put my hair up for it?
I was like, I don't believe in fundraisers because it depends on who it's for. If it's for the March of Dimes, fuck them.
Okay. What if we did St. Jude's again?
Fuck them too. You know why? Because I've known people that got fucked over by them, and they are literally the people that they're supposed to help. And I used to donate all the time, but every time those people that I donate to people that I care about needing that help and fall within their stuff do not help them. And so I'm like,
Okay.
so it's more of a personal thing. I think it's cool. I do, but it's personally, I don't trust nonprofits anymore for the most
Okay.
part.
The conversation in the chat right now is going, okay. For next year's fundraiser, you picked where the funds are going, as long as your hair is on the line. And Smiley will set it up. And obviously, I'm in. I'll help. Sounds like Deverick's in too. So you figure that out and you let us know.
I have to be like super picky because there's one that I do like, and it's Extra Life, and my friend Wretch does it. Extra Life Gamer still.
Okay.
Like, I definitely like that organizer.
Okay.
They're fairly new, so they haven't fucked up yet, I guess.
Okay. Well, again, we get that. We'll get those nailed down. I'm sure so Smiley will be more than happy to set up the fundraiser for it again. Still would like to know, how do you feel about non-men's tournaments becoming a standard? So a little history lesson here. Dragonspine passed an amendment that allows us to have non-men and women tournaments alongside open tournaments because of some research that was done by Lightning referencing the steady and hard decrease of high-level female fighters in Amtgard.
The reason why there's not high level fighters in Amtgard is because of Warlord. That toxicity I was talking about,
Yep.
That's why that's there. Because Boots is the only, as we all know, the only Warlord Sword Knight. And I grew up with that, with fighting Boots. Basically, if she knew that you were wearing your cup, she made it her point to destroy that cup with a polearm.
Okay.
She was brutal. She was ruthless on the battlefield. No, I mean, like, when I say ruthless, I mean bloody ruthless. So a lot of people are like, oh, no, they don't understand back in the day Amtgard versus like now it was a little bit more like DAG, especially on like Clan. Clan used to be Forest War and, like full on everyone hitting just a little bit toxic, but everyone was still having a good time. Except for, the underlying things that were also there. I was like, I know. I didn't go to those clans. I was underage at that time.
Okay.
So,
So
but
are you suggesting that if the culture for warlords was cleaned up, there would be a non-necessity for non-men and women tournaments?
well, my biggest issue is, what is the problem?
Well, I mean,
This is like, that's what you have to ask yourself. What is actually the reason why? Is it because they're not good enough? Then there shouldn't be a separation.
sure.
It's you can't discourage people, and that's probably the reason why they want to separate, because men have smash mentality. Women don't like smash mentality. But then there's guys out there, and I've seen them, that when they fight a woman that who wants to prove themselves as a fighter, and I've seen some fucking amazing female fighters that should be warlords, but they're afraid to compete because
Mm-hmm.
of the fucking toxicity.
Okay.
And it's not because it should be separate. I don't think there should be a separation. I was like, you can. I don't. It's you're losing the battle by separating. You're
Well,
basically going, hey, we women soft. We don't want to participate.
yeah, well,
But,
I would have to disagree there because specifically, I know Dragonspine's amendment to our Corpora allows for there to be a tournament that doesn't exclude them from fighting in the open tournament, because the data that's presented by Lightning is saying that
so is there an all men's tournament?
there's an open tournament
There should be an
because
all men's tournament then, not an open tournament.
well, given the information that's went into it, it
Yeah, exactly. Is they're giving up. I'm sorry. It's literally, it's people segregating themselves prior, and that's my honest opinion because I've seen it. And
okay.
I want them to do good. I want Warlord. I've Boots is like one of actually like probably the most awesome people you will ever meet,
Mm-hmm.
but she's also a ruthless fucking person on the battlefield.
Sure.
But and like it's just no, it's females being comfortable, and I can understand that, especially with like newer generations. But I hate it because it's like you're going backwards. You're segregating yourself now instead of like it's a stepping stone to making something worse instead of fixing the problem. Is what I'm saying. It's not fixing the problem; it's avoiding the problem. Is what I'm saying.
I'll agree
And
to disagree.
the problem is they're afraid of men hitting them too damn hard because they want to prove a point against a woman, and it's fucking. I hate it.
That is a stance that, yeah, I would agree with. That is a stance, one of them, but I wouldn't say that that's all of them. I'll just agree to disagree. Um, would also like to know, should Crown Masterhood require higher office in current kingdoms that you serve? So an example of this would be to be a Master Crown in your kingdom, should you had to have served kingdom office?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Um, what does Masterhood mean to you?
Depends on the concept because I also consider Paragon inside of Masterhood, but it gets separated.
Mm-hmm.
So it just really depends. Masterhood is did we talk about that when people recognized my weapons before they recognized me?
Yeah. Yeah.
But was that live or was that?
Yeah, that was
when
live.
Me and you were talking.
Yep.
Was it? Okay.
Yep.
Basically, is when someone recognizes your work before they recognize you, or recognize something that you've done, like like when other people recognize your stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and it's good, not just like, oh, that's trash or whatever. But then you run into those people that just hate you to begin with, and they just think everything you make is trash. Which I know like 2 or 3 of those people that I know. They're like, your weapons hurt. I'm like, from me or because someone else was pummeling you? Because it wasn't me.
Right.
Kind of thing. Like a master is being recognized. Okay, that's the best way to describe it. Being recognized while not being present.
Okay. All right. Uh, we have one more question before we get to the Knights questions, which is name the 5 most influential Knights to your Amtgard experience.
Most of them aren't knights, so most of them have become knights. A lot of the knights that I grew up with weren't very what I consider knightly. So
Okay.
Most people that I looked up to weren't knights. I saw them as knights. Some of them have become knights, and some of them have quit the game because of either empathy or literally they like have a baby now and are like moved away and doing other things. But I also know a lot of people that have become a knight and literally quit the game.
Mm-hmm.
At least 5 of my friends that literally got knighted no longer play.
Sure.
At least 3 of them almost immediately after they got knighted stopped playing. Like knighting, the way that it's perceived, and I've noticed this as being like a knight, but I don't really care that I'm a knight. Like the only thing I kind of was like, yay, is I could wear a chain without having an adornment. That was like the biggest plus. And spurs. I love wearing my spurs. Those are like the biggest deals. But other than that, it's like I know what it says to like a lot of new players and other players. It's like, oh, that guy's a knight. He knows what he's talking about because he's been in the game long enough for that. But almost all the people I looked up to coming into this game were not a knight. My knight was Monkey. I grew up with Monkey, kind of. I hated him for most of my Amtgard career. Like he was always a douchebag, always an asshole. And I never like, and that's the weirdest part. It's like I never really looked up to him, and like, I don't know. There's just really not a single knight I can think of that was a knight that I looked up to because almost all of them were assholes growing up.
Okay. All right. Well, that brings us to the section where we talk about knighthood in general, and we'll get to specifically your knighthood. Sir Smiley would like to know, can he be a squire of yours in the Owl Path?
I mean, I thought we already talked about this once. It was like, yeah, it was like you could be my squire.
Okay.
But he has to make his own belt.
Okay. How do you feel about the opening of Paladin and Anti-Paladin?
I'm torn on that one so much. Like, one, the classes suck. Just being bluntly honest. They're not good enough for anyone to really want to play them other than having the name.
Sure.
Some people are like, I want to play a paladin. And it's usually a lot of the new players are like, I want to play a paladin. But once you actually get into the game and whatnot and see what they can do, you're like, a healer is a way better paladin.
Sure.
Only difference is like you don't wear the armor. But like an armor, for the most part, because our game, we pad our weapons and not ourselves. Our weapons can be light as crap, but our armor can't. Armor is a hindrance. You can drum roll a full plate person as soon as you get behind them, and that armor is just, whatever. But fighting them front, you just like, I'm just gonna stay away from you and pick off your armor.
Okay.
I was like, if armor was changed, yeah, but opening it up,
so this is where I get on my soapbox. Okay. If we're gonna open them up, knighthood gets a perk for every class. That's like look the part. Paragon gets a perk that is
I remember you talking about that. And I was just like, I was trying to remember. It was like there was something about knighthood that was just like, as far as like, yeah, I would, dude, that would be like just like literally get an extra charge or whatever for
Right.
whatever, or 5 extra points or whatever for
And
stuff.
we don't remove the phoenixes from the knights. They can still have those. And
But
then you
you
just
have to have them to have the bonuses.
well, if you get a sash and you get the equipment to just put the phoenix on the sash,
Well, you
like
still have, well, yeah, either or.
yeah, I would just want the
Okay.
sash to be the reason for it, because if we're always looking at sashes to determine the class, you see the phoenix, you know this is a knight playing this class. If you see the silver stripes, you know this is a paragon playing this class, and we can,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Also, I
um,
think Paragon should also have something like that.
yeah, no, I agree. There should be a look the part for knighthood, paragon. There should be a perk similar to look the part for knighthood
Yeah.
and paragon, but you can only use one of them for the class at that time. You can't have the paragon and knighthood if you have the paragon in that class and also be a knight and get both those perks at the same time.
But then
You'd
they
ha-
would have to be different perks per
yes, they would.
class,
They would. I agree.
which is a little bit harder for Magic unless you're literally giving them one select ability for like free. Like, oh, you get magic bolts for free for wizard or something.
Yeah, I mean,
Which is,
there's a lot of heavy tinkering there, but
yeah.
I
I
mean,
like that a lot.
okay,
I
good.
totally agree with that. I just I don't know how I feel about the opening it up, because I'm like, I don't see the point of opening it up.
Okay.
But if you open it up, then what does it mean to be a knight other than getting responsibility and everyone going, he knows what he's doing, talk to him. And
Right.
that's literally all the white belt does. Because there was a guy that came up to me like, hey, you must be a knight. I'm like, how do you know I'm a knight? And then I realized, like, because I have my equipment belt, but I have it to where I can slide my belt on, so I can have pouches on this and whatnot. Then I can switch out the belt. But I made it white because I was like, well, I might as well make it white. Because then
Okay.
I'd get people would complain. I was like, you never wear your knight's belt. I'm like, because my knight's belt was trash.
Okay. You kind of just answered the question, but I'm going to ask it again to see if there's any more insight to it. Smiley would like to know, knights, who should we be, and how can we best impact the game?
Well, technically, it's already defined to get it. Like, you should be a teacher, you should be leading, you should, do all this other stuff. But knights get empathy. Empathy? I don't know what I'm saying that right. When you become a knight, you're like, I don't care anymore.
Apathy.
Me, I used it as a stepping stone for, well, one, my business, because I just got better at what I did. I don't consider myself a master, but at the same time, I'm one of the best at what I do. And I love what I do. That's why I do it for a living.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly didn't really want to do it for a living, but then I literally sat there and went, what am I really good at doing? And I was like, this. I'm like, fuck it, I'm doing it. And I just kind of went with it. So for me, I actually have like a huge investment in the game. Like, I want it to be fucking great and whatnot, because it's like Dag and Belagarth. There's a couple of things I like about them and a couple of things I don't like about them. The Amp is very magical in the middle, like absolute middle of like heavy combat to like super flare, because you can be all of those things. Kind of like, you can't shield bash, even though they're talking about doing that. And there's a couple of things I'm like, do you really want to do that? You're gonna have to be very specific about that. Which I don't have an issue with it, as long as it has to be an all foam shield with cloth cover, not a plastic tip shield. Plastic tip shield should never be able to shield bash, because I made a 10-pound plastic tip shield.
Oof.
You could literally knock people out with that.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, like, that's why I'm like, I'm a bit iffy on that. Shit, what was the question? I realized I just went on a rant. I'm like, I think I shifted.
It,
Sorry.
it, what nights should be? You said that that's already kind of
Oh, was
listed.
it? Okay, what they should be is like one. We're currently working on a night. I wouldn't say Knight's Code, but a Knight kind of way. What's the word I'm looking for? Creed? No. Well, I mean it is, but like what a knight should be. But literally, like I said, I literally live by the Knight's Code from fucking Dragonheart, and then the extended or whatever. Like that is who I am as a person. But I also don't give a fuck about a lot of things.
Okay.
Is if someone asks you for help, even if you fucking hate them, you should always help them. No matter what it is. I don't really care if it's something you know. You should be able to direct them to the persons that you know that can help them.
Okay.
That is what I think being a knight is someone that's selfless, even if there's only like 2 people I hate in the world, and none of them play Amtgard.
Okay.
So there's people like I'm antisocial for the most part. Like a lot of times I'm like don't want to talk, but once you get me talking, I will keep talking. Like as you can see,
You don't
once
say.
you break down that wall, it's not stopping.
Yeah. Okay. Still would like to know about the idea of an RP night, and we want to talk about the battle game night. So RP night would be something along the lines of masks and facades being the primary driving ladder awards. And we have discussions currently with the battle game night, which would be focused around the competitive side of battle games. What do you think of these two options?
Well, I think there should be a death night.
Okay.
You know why? Because everyone's going to want to be that death night, and that's the RP night.
Okay. So can we get there for an RP night with Orders of the Masks and Facades, or does there have to be a new ladder award created, or is there already something in the game that we could just move over as another ladder award? Is Griffins maybe?
Mask and Deads. We should make like because the way that GP uses is basically like Mask is like your kingdom level awards. You have to have like 2 masks and then like 8 deaths or whatever. So you can make it to where they're all the same or whatever, but you could also make it to where like, there's a couple of different ways you could do that.
Okay.
It's like, because for us, like masks are kingdom level once a reign, like not 2 a reign, once a reign.
Mm-hmm.
So once every 6 months, you can get that. So that'd be really hard for people to get. So if we introduce deads, which when you get a dead in our kingdom, we cut off your head at the court.
Okay.
It's like basically, so there's a whole RP thing that we usually have when we're handing out deads and all this other stuff, checking for weapons and all this other stuff. So like there's an already ingrained like RP aspect in our courts because of that. Because it's a requirement is when you get your award, you have to be beheaded. Though I think there's a couple of things that you do with that, but you could just make them masks, in all honesty, but you could make it to where there's because obviously you need 8 levels, like up to like Duchy or Grand Duchy or wherever other places do their stuff, to your 8th level. And then for your kingdom, your 9th and 10th, which also, like, let's be real, there's 9, 10, and 11th because your masterhood.
Sure.
So, like, some people give out 10 and then they give the masterhood immediately, like, right there. And then there's other people where like, oh yeah, you have your 10th, but we're not giving. So it's kind of like, why don't you get your masterhood then if you're already getting your 10th? Like that's one thing, like with like all the things that I kind of just didn't really understand.
Well, if I could, the how I would look at it is if you're working in a factory, you have the
uh
job as an employee in the factory, but you need a certification to work a forklift, right? So
I know where you're going with this analogy, which is kind of where my brain was going, but I'm like,
sure.
but if he's getting that 10th, you should already. But you're like, you have to continue that. I'm like, arrogant assholes.
Well,
That's basically what it's saying.
as someone who received his 10th and didn't receive his masterhood,
Yeah.
I would be under the impression that there
P's and
is
Q's, guys. P's and Q's. All right, nothing to see here. I'm doing pretty good. Continuing on that 10th, doing all the things I was doing before. I haven't COC'd. I was going to say a bunch of other things, but.
well, okay. Blairo is back with what advice would you give anyone who wanted to become a knight? If that was their goal in the game, what would you tell them?
Well, first off, why?
Okay.
I'm going to wait for that answer. I'm just kidding. Like, I'm asking them, like, why? It's like, and if the answer is because I've always seen myself or always wanted to be a knight, and I'm like, cool. The only real knights in my mind are the 2 knight levels of the crown and flame. Those are the only ones that are actual true paths to being a knightly person, because you are doing stuff for others generally. Like you're self-sacrificing by leading everyone and like, hey, everybody, we're not going bankrupt and we're still playing the game. Crown. While, roses are, to me, an insult a lot of times. Like, hey, this guy got a rose for cleaning up the park. I always clean up the park after you leave. And it's just like it's just what I do. And then like you get, I know a lot of people that have like 20, 30 fucking roses. So like roses are given out a lot of times for the wrong thing. Like a lot of times some of those roses need to be lions.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, some of those roses actually need to be smiths. Don't ask me why. That has happened.
Sure. I can see
Happened
that.
to me. I got a rose for a smith job. I'm like, I ran battle games and stuff, and all this
Yep.
stuff was like, that's not a rose. That is a smith. See, it wasn't my job to do it. And I was like, it's just like, or a lion or a smith, but
Sure. Okay. All right. So
um,
why is the question though? That's going to start the conversation is why do you want to be a knight?
yeah, it was like to be a knight, because when you're a kid, you grow up knowing that a knight is like that, a person that will save you, the person that you look up to. And a lot of people, like, they want that because they want that notoriety. They want people to look up to them, and we all want it.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether or not we say that we do, we want that attention. And some of us, it's for selfless reasons, and some of it's for selfish reasons. It's like, I want notoriety so people learn how to make good weapons so I don't get hurt. To be perfectly honest, I was like, I've been so scared with a lot of weapons. It's like, please take that away. It's like, what? I can take like straight rattan, bamboo, whatever. I'm a pretty durable person. However, stabs in the ribs, I don't care how durable you are, that shit hurts.
Yep.
Because there's not enough muscle to protect your ribs, and a lot of times it can split it. And those are the most dangerous. And those are the only ones I've ever been injured on, are stabs in the floating ribs.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like mainly from pole arms, or long swords, or big weapons. And on flat blades, they generally do not hold up because they don't have different poundages of compression and whatnot to go over the core, and just big explanation. But I'm getting all philosophical over here. It's like, why do you want to be a knight? It's like, well, this is why people want to be a knight. But a knight in the game, you shouldn't really want to be a knight in the game you should just want to be a good person and to be recognized for it. And if that's the reason why, then I say go for it.
Okay. All
But
right.
if you're doing it because you just like, I was like, nah, get out of here, I'm just gonna say no.
Okay. Last question before we get to the most serious of questions on KOK. We call them the funny questions. I would like you to tell us a little bit about your belt line.
my, my night was monkey. Done.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So here we are.
I'll go a little into it.
Okay.
So I got many squires and I have many people under me. Half my fighting company is under my belt line. However, monkey belt line. So I want to say something about monkey because there's probably a lot of people that either hate monkey or love monkey. You're either a one or the other.
Okay.
I grew up, and this is just I wanted to say it, and I kind of wanted to say it for this question. I grew up hating monkey because he was an asshole, and I kind of don't want to say this like to its entirety, but I'm going to anyways because a lot of people do not know this about monkey. So monkey came up to me. I was not belted to anyone. I was running battle games and I was fighting and whatnot. He came up to me as James, which is his actual name. And he asked me like, hey, are you belted to anyone? Like after like the games, and it's like, he was, generally just talking to me. Like, dude, I like all the stuff you do. You're fucking fun and all. Like he was just being a general good guy. And those that know that part of him know who I'm talking about. And I had made him wait a week before I gave him an answer. I was like, I'll think about it.
Okay.
And I said yes, but monkey never taught me anything. In fact, if anything, every time monkey fucks up, I'm yelling at him. It's like, he does some stuff. But so there was a lot of stuff in the past that had happened. This is, I'm sorry, monkey, but I'm not sorry. It's like he's dead. He's passed away. So if you hate monkey, so the one time that monkey got banned for a particular situation was actually one of my current squires now, who's in his belt line now. So the whole the bomber vest, I don't know if you ever saw that.
No.
Okay, so basically he got banned and all this other stuff because he didn't really care and all this other stuff. He literally looked like he was wearing a bomber vest. I don't care what anyone else says. I was right there when it happened, and like the comments between them and some of the people here will be listening. I was literally from here to like a little bit further than where this camera is when all this stuff happened. So my friend Thindor was PTSD. He's been blown up 5 to 10 times in Iraq. So he's got PTSD. He's been blown up quite a bit. So when you had the head wrap, literally looked like a bomber vest, he looked and he just like went, and I went, huh? And it was just like, he knew he wasn't there, but he saw that and he was like, eh. But monkey acted like kind of an asshole afterwards. Like, I don't understand. He actually really didn't understand, but Thindor wasn't mad at him for just wearing that. He's just like, he was having trigger. It kind of got blown out of proportion. And he kind of said, I don't give a fuck. And the reason why he doesn't give a fuck and the reason why I do not support charities is because his daughter, Monkey had a daughter, and she had cancer. He could not afford to pay for the payments, take him to actually get her for cancer. Went to St. June's, and they told him no, he didn't have any money. He wasn't employed. He was literally stereotypically who they support, and they wouldn't help him. So it's one of the reasons why I do not support it, and one of the reasons why he's a jaded asshole. Because if you call him an asshole, he's going to prove you right. And I know that was a little dark, but some of y'all really need to understand that he has a reason of being a jaded asshole now. Back in the day, nah, he was just an asshole.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get an opportunity here to lighten it up a little bit after that. We'll get to the questions. We call them the funny questions. Sir Smiley says, okay, unseen hand. Why is it and why can't I see it?
Uh, um, it's the fighting company I'm part of. Ugh. There's literally nothing about an actual hand in it. We're a fighting company loosely based off of the Dark Company by or the Black Company. Sorry, not the Dark Company. The Black Company by fucking. I don't remember the author's name, but it's loosely based off the Black Company. We call it the Blue Stripe, which is the diagonal stripe, the Death Stripe. And yeah, why you can't see the hands, because really has nothing to do with an actual hand.
Okay.
At one point we did do like there was a captain and the 4 lieutenants, like we did do a hand thing, but nowadays it's not really a thing, but it kind of is.
Okay.
You just don't know it.
All right.
We're plotting.
Sir Smiley would like to know if you would like to join his AmpGuard sports team, the Silver Suburban Athletes.
That's not what it says.
The Silver Suburban Athletes.
The sports team for what?
AmpGuard.
For what? Jugging?
I have no idea. It just says AmpGuard sports team.
Oh, wait, never mind. I know what it's about. No, that's fine.
Okay. All right. Still, I would like to know, what's your favorite fictional knight?
Fictional Bowen. Funny enough, that's actual monkey's actual AmpGuard name is Bowen.
Okay. All right.
Which is really funny.
Zachary would like to know, what's the best fictional or non-fictional sword name?
Best fictional or not fictional, so either or.
Yep.
Or both. Okay. Well, I literally answer both as the Masamune, because it is a fictional sword and it is a real sword.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
Okay. Sir Smiley would like to know, what's your favorite book of all time?
Book. Well, the Dresden Files, even though it's several books, if I had to choose one, is all I have to say is fuck changes.
Okay.
As people have read Dresden Files will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay. I was going to start that. Sir Francis had referenced that for me, referred that for me, so I'm going to have to start looking into it. Sir Smiley would now like to know, what's your favorite color?
Well, all my favorite colors I'm currently wearing is black, blue, and gray. Okay. I don't know the order. Actual color, I would say blue. Black and gray are more like shades, so I would say blue.
Okay.
As far as color.
Still would like to know, is Kodiak more of a Jedi or a Sith?
It's like, well, first off, I don't know you all that well. If I had to guess, Walker in the middle, gray Jedi.
Hey, so the next question is about gray Jedis. Should we have a third path of being a paladin, anti-paladin, and being a gray knight?
A gray knight?
Yes.
Well, Bowen was a gray knight from the Dragonheart movie or whatever. As far as like what I would consider a gray knight is someone that has been on the highest and the lowest and now walks in the middle.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But I don't like gray Jedi because it's Jedi with gray, and then gray knight. It's just like, why don't we just call it gray?
Well, I mean,
because gray is an actual thing, but it's also a creature. But
yeah,
I think we should come up with a name other than just like tacking on a color to the thing. Now we understand what it means, but that's the one thing that I've always had with great Jedi is it's like, well, there should be a name because damn it, there's Sith and Jedi, and there should be something that's in between that's not just Jedi with gray on top of it.
Yeah, the first one that comes to the first term that comes to mind that I would have thought would have worked is oathless, but great Jedi also have an oath, so it's not, you know.
Yeah, they like
Yeah.
I don't know. There should like there should be because I consider myself someone that walks in the gray. Like I
Sure.
very much believe that you should be just as heartless as you are caring to a certain extent. It's just like you shouldn't really hurt people, but you should also don't care about everyone's opinion and tell them to go fuck themselves. That's kind of where I am. Is like mostly good, but an
Sure.
asshole. I mean, I don't.
Okay.
Some
All
people
right.
say I'm an asshole, and other people are like you're totally not an asshole. I was like, it's because I'm an understanding asshole. I understand where everyone comes from. I tried to understand what the problem is. Like that's the reason why we don't have drama at my field and where I'm at because I'm like I see that shit. I'm like tomahawk. It's like no drama.
Okay. All right. Valance, who should play you in a live action Amp Guard movie? You should play
Rattle.
you? Rattles? Okay. And what would be either Valance's or Rattle's theme song?
Theme song. I had one for this. Oh fuck it. Let's just do Mead from the Metal Brothers.
Okay. All right.
I was like, that's not the one I'm thinking about. I was like, I fucking love that song though. Have you ever heard of Metal Brothers or Brothers
I
of Metal?
Nope. I
The
can't say that I
Mead
have.
song. Oh man, you gotta look up the Mead song. Just look up the Mead song, and it's a
Oh,
metal song.
okay. I can do that. Still, I would like to know what would be your superpowers?
Hmm. You know, I've thought about this a lot over the years. Like
Sure.
the one that would be the most useful. And there's a lot of stuff like if you could manipulate water, you can manipulate a body. If you can manipulate moisture, you can manipulate basically everything. It's like fire is actually the least useful in comparison to like elements. Like
Sure.
if we're talking about elemental stuff, because like with if you can manipulate water, technically you can make fire. You don't have to think about it too hard. You separate the atoms and then you use hydrogen, depending on how it's explained or whatever. I think the coolest one would be shadows. And what I mean by that is I could just like put stuff into the shadows.
Okay. All right.
And like
You'd have
step
like an
in and
internal
out of the
bag of
shadows.
holding or something. The shadows would become like a bag of holding.
Yeah, every shadow. Like I could either jump into it, I could store stuff. It's like I think that like D&D wise, like usually it was like I always find like the shadow stuff like the most useful because it's like I just hide it into my shadow. But it'd either be shadow or water type stuff.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
All right. Sir Nikolai would like to know what are you drinking, and do you drink that often?
Oh no, I do only drink this for special occasions. This is a special occasion. So these are about $5 a bottle.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Dragon's Milk. It's 11% alcohol. It's like dark chocolate coffee, and I fucking hate coffee. Which I know that's one of the questions in there, and the answer is I fucking hate coffee. I will
Okay.
drink coffee, but I will. 1 second. You can still ask me, and I can technically still answer.
Okay. So how do you stay hydrated at park?
Lots of water, and honestly, coconut milk is a really good way to do that. In fact, one of my favorite drinks is this Filipino coconut water that has coconut chunks in it, and that
Okay.
shit will actually hydrate you so well. I can't remember what it's called. I thought I had one. I was about to bring it out. There's also Dragon's Milk White, which is 6%. I've only had one of these, but yeah, this is usually all I need in a night. But I kind of want to try this. I don't remember what it tastes like.
Okay. All right. So still had a question here. A mimosa or a Bloody Mary?
Oh, Bloody Mary all day. I'm all about that spice. Even though mimosas are still good, but mix them together.
Okay. And does Valance and Rattles have different drink preferences?
Um, well, I make a couple of drinks. Rattles doesn't really care. I make something that some people call a bloody keel, and which is literally Kraken, cream soda, and Digerono and Malibu. But you could just make it with Kraken and cream soda. Great. Just those two together. But like the full on deal is that. Then I have another one. It's called the Emerald Fox or just Emerald. And it's a list of alcohols. It's mainly alcohol. And then like a ginger ale or Volt. Volt is really good because it's a really nice Volt Mountain Dew or Voltage Mountain Dew. Sorry. I'm trying to remember what it's called. That one's a really good base. And then I have this right here, which I call Dracolich, or just poison. At certain angles, it'll be red, and other angles, it'll be green.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
very. It's supposed to be Dragon Lich's blood, and also known as Rattles calls it Moon Shiver wine. No idea why. He's like, here, drink the Moon Shiver wine. There's actually I actually have an origin story of how Rattles came to be and how Lance met him and all this other jazz.
okay. Maybe someday we'll get to that conversation.
The
uh,
Ballad of Rattles.
sure. Still, I would like to know how much is too much to spend on breakfast?
Depends on what you did the night before.
Okay. All right.
Too much is like $60. That's quite a bit, but 40 is good. 60 is probably too much
Okay.
for yourself.
Is a muffin just an upside down or unfrosted cupcake?
Do I look English to you? Where are these mosquitoes? Oh God, shit! That's where the mosquitoes are coming from.
Valance is off again, folks. For anyone keeping track at home, there are 4 more questions. 4 more questions, and we'll get to announcements and we'll call it for the night.
No.
Kato would like to know, do you play games on PC? And if so, do you want to play Predator Hunter Grounds? He has an open viewer invite as well for Crispy Fett if you want to play that game. But do you play games on PC?
Crispy Fett?
Yeah, Crispy. So Chris PY.
Oh, his
Fett.
gamer deal.
Yep.
Okay. No, I would love to play. I just know it gets boring after a while. But no, that's actually one of the games I've wanted to play. But literally, it's no fun playing by yourself on that game. And yes, I do play a lot of PC games. Right now, I'm currently playing Horizon Zero Dawn, and I actually do live streams, which I'll probably do after this, of me just playing. No one watches those, by the way. Like 0 people watch my live Let's Play deals because it's usually like midnight to like 2.
Sure.
I was just like, I just do them because I'm like, I rant. I'm like, I don't want to feel like I'm talking to myself, so I'm gonna talk to myself in a recording for future people.
Okay. All right. Three more questions.
Honestly,
Morgan would like to know, what is the square root of a bowl of oatmeal?
square root of a bowl of oatmeal
Yep.
is a spoon.
Okay, is a spoon. Morgan would like to know, if you could meet anyone in history, who would it be and why? Is it Freddie Mercury?
Why the fuck would it be Freddie Mercury? Why is it Freddie Mercury? Them lips?
Okay. And then the last one, let me take my breath. If it takes a chicken and a half, a day and a half to lay an egg and a half, how long would it take a grasshopper with a wooden leg to kick a seed out of a dill pickle?
A thought.
A thought. Well, lads, thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to go ahead and do some announcements, and then we'll say our goodbyes. Birding Lads, thank you so much for having us at your mid-reign. Congratulations again to Nikolai and Jubei for getting knighted. Dragonspine members, Pegasus Valley is having their mid-reign this coming Saturday. So if you have the want and ability to get there and have your vaccine and your 2 weeks and a mask, go ahead and go participate in their Weapon Master and Dragon Master. Dragonspine overall, the Monarch, Regent, and Champion challenges are all open still. Dragonspine is not the first. Dragonspine does not have the first tuning for this reign. That will actually likely be going to Sir Manthax for completing the tuning challenge and the first 3 weeks challenges. If you're behind on that, please go catch up. The next tuning challenge will come in July. Let's see, international stuff.
The tuning.
So, Dragonspine is doing a Naruto reign.
Naruto? Yeah, okay.
So they're
fine.
all getting to start off, and if they do the challenges for the champion challenges, they get offered the tuning exam, which is a secret exam that I can't talk about. And if they pass that, they become tuning, and then down the road could become
cool.
tuning.
I like that.
Yeah.
I dig it.
I'm doing all the things, man. But there's also regions and champions challenges. Go get those things done. VaLance, thank you so much for coming on. Do you want to do a shout out to the business or anything specific?
I mean, LancerArmory.com and also the Facebook page Lancer Armory. My name is literally my Facebook name. If you ever have any questions about anything, don't feel like a lot of people are intimidated by me. I don't know why. Don't be afraid to ask me questions. I will try to answer them. However, I'm better at a shower than a teller. Like,
okay,
that's the reason why I go walk off like, words, this. Like, I'm better at showing than I am like trying to explain something sometimes. Because in my head, I'm like, how do I describe an egg?
Sure.
Oh,
right. Fantastic. Yeah. So, anyone who's looking, check out LancerArmory.com. I'm sure you and Sir Smiley will be in contact if there becomes a new fundraiser event. VaLance will be leading that. But until next week, which may also be a nightly chat. I'm not sure yet. We did have a little discrepancy here, but we'll figure that out as we go.
I snuck in.
Until next week, this has been King of Kodiak, and I'm Kodiak. Goodbye.